She went out to see the daughters of the land, not looking for trouble, not searching for anything that would follow. She went because something in her wanted what we all want: to belong, to be seen, to find herself reflected in someone else. And somewhere between that moment and what came next, her story changed from being her story, her journey, her truth, into something others would speak about. Scripture tells us what happened, but it never tells us what she said. And maybe that is the loudest part of all. Because everyone was talking about Dinah, but no one was talking to Dinah. There are silences that don't come from having nothing to say, but from having too much with nowhere safe to put it. Silence that forms when the body remembers what the mind cannot explain. Silence that protects when everything else feels exposed, and yet her silence was surrounded by noise. Voices making decisions, voices forming conclusions, voices assigning meaning. Her father heard and said nothing. Her brothers responded, but not to her. And the one responsible spoke of love after the damage was done, and still no one asked, "Are you okay? What do you need? What would healing look like for you?" And the truth is that silence did not end in Genesis. It echoes in conversations that talk around pain but never make space for it, in rooms where survival is seen but not understood, in lives where people say, "She's strong," without realizing strength sometimes looks like staying quiet just to make it through the day. But there comes a moment, quiet at first, where something begins to shift, a realization. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady. What was taken was never given. What was violated was never surrendered. And what was never surrendered was never theirs to keep. Silence may have protected you, but it was never meant to define you. And voice does not always return fully formed. Sometimes it trembles, sometimes it comes back in fragments. Sometimes it sounds like breathing again, but even that is a beginning. And if you carry a voice, whether in your home, your platform, your ministry, or your conversations, let it be a place where silence is not required to belong, where people are not just seen, but heard, where the question is not, "What happened?" but "How do we walk toward healing from here?" Dinah may not have spoken in the pages of Scripture, but her story still speaks. And maybe now, through every voice that chooses to rise, through every space that chooses to listen, through every person who decides to ask what was never asked, silence is no longer the end of the story.